everybody, welcome back to desmedia.co, previously known as The Creative Tech. Today I'm super excited and super grateful to be talking to one of the biggest entrepreneurs in business, Gary Vaynerchuk. For those of you who don't know, Gary is the CEO of Vayner Media. He's an entrepreneur, author, social influencer, and much, much more. As an immigrant from Belarus, Gary has been around the world, writing, speaking, and building businesses. And most importantly, he's helping others and teaching them how to do the same. Nonetheless, Gary V. Hey, Gary.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being here. My name's Mealy. I just kind of want to start off by just saying thank you so much for being here. You know, you are an inspiration to millions of people around the world. So I'm just absolutely flabbergasted that you saw my tweet and you said yes, because that was truly a 1 in a million chance. So I really do appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here.
I recently just graduated and it's my dream to work in the digital media industry. So like I said, I'm really grateful to be talking to you today.
I love it. Thank you.
Cool. So to start off with, how do you think COVID-19 has impacted the advertising and business market?
You know, I think it really allowed people to question how they were spending their money. I think a lot of big brands in Fortune 500 land like the idea of spending a lot of money on production. And I think speed and flexibility and creativity and the context of new platforms really evolved. So I think people became more educated on TikTok and Netflix and Spotify. And I think a lot of CMOs became more practitioner oriented. So they became educated. And I think it's had a major impact on the way people think about it in general.
So do you see like any specific types of like trends that you think will come to the forefront because of the pandemic?
I think everybody's got a direct to consumer strategy now, right? So CPGs have become much more DTC oriented. I think you've got companies now thinking about NFTs. I think you've got companies now saying, wait a minute, I really need to understand TikTok, not kind of.
Right.
And so, I think reallocation of money that used to go to television or outdoor or other things, or celebrities are now going to influencers, TikTok, and more progressive work. So I think that's the shift.
Speaking of TikTok, that was kind of leading into my next question. So it's very obvious that TikTok has taken over the social media game. There's been millions and billions of users that have aggregated to TikTok. And, I'm kind of familiar with your more positive views on TikTok, but as a business tool compared to some of the other platforms, how do you see TikTok compared to some of these others?
I think it's the best place to do organic social because you can actually go viral if you make good content. Right. I think the ad product is crazy underpriced, so I'm very bullish on that. I think it's one of the more interesting places on the internet. And so I don't think you can be a company today that has a consumer product. Forget about B2B. If you're a consumer product, you want to sell to a consumer and your target is 45 and under, and you're in the consumer business. I think TikTok needs to be debated as your number one important platform because it's at enough scale, but the reach and relevance is underpriced against the activities of making the content and distributing it organically or paid, that it becomes an incredibly interesting chessboard.
I just kind of want to see if you see potential in any other app in the market right now that could skyrocket in the future the way that TikTok has.
Not right now.
Nothing.
Nope. And that happens a lot, actually. Really, like that's actually the norm. These things only really come around every 3 to 5 years. And I'm definitely not going to go on this show and guess. So I'm keeping my eye on things, but there's nothing even remotely close to that level, right? I started first talking about Musical.ly, years ago. So, but I mean, we're literally since Instagram, which is now, 12, 13, 14 years, whatever it is, we're talking about 2 platforms, Snap and TikTok, at the scale that we're talking about. Vine, actually, it's not fair, Vine, but it got bought very quickly. Mm-hmm. They didn't sit on it long term. So that's kind of how I see it.
I know most social medias are pushing more towards video form content. Instagram just kind of formally announced that they were pushing to support more video.
Yes.
What kinds of thoughts do you have on this?
That's an interesting question because I think about it in two ways. One, sure, give people what they want. Two, I think it actually opens up a huge opportunity. I think that video is amazing and it matters, but I think pictures matter too. And I actually think that if somebody comes out and makes a really big play for picture only, like that's actually one of the biggest opportunities I think in social. Picture only.
I agree. I've seen a lot of heat, just scrolling on TikTok about Instagram. Consumers seem to be more upset because it seems like they're like following TikTok. They're trying to copycat TikTok. So,
I think the bigger issue is you're probably hearing from people that make a living being good at photos versus videos, and they're upset.
Follow up, do you think there is a place for static photo in terms of advertising?
Yes. Of course. I think there's a place for written word.
Yeah, just static photo, especially since, video is becoming increasingly the demand. How do we stand out with static photo, and how do we capture the attention of our audiences? Because
I'm more of a,
sorry, I was just gonna say I'm more of a static, photo person. I'm starting to get more into video recently. So
you should definitely do more video because the way you're conducting this interview, I think you have a good presence. So you should consider that. Mm-hmm. Two, really easy. It's always been the same game. Can you actually bring value to somebody else?
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest problem for every creator, brand and human is they're selfish. So that they have an agenda for them in mind, and they don't realize the way to build is to care about the community on the other side. It's the biggest reasons that I don't post content that show the reality of my financial capability.
Right.
What on God's green earth is valuable to somebody on the other side of me flexing money?
I have a lot of different passions in my life. I'm a photographer, videographer, web design. I like to paint. I like to do a lot of different things. And I sometimes feel like it is really hard to, find that community and gain those followings that, I'm desiring, because I have such a wide variety of things that I'm posting about. What I want to know from like your perspective is, do you think it's vital to have a niche in order to succeed in business or in life? Should I focus on one thing and expand out, or should I continue pursuing these passions in hopes to find that specific community?
I think it comes down to self-awareness. So for me, the answer is no. I'm not niche at all, right? Like look at the way I do content. I could be talking about garage sailing or marketing or mindset or NFT. Like I'm all over the place, mm-hmm. But I'm uniquely always me.
That's true. You do a lot of different things in a lot of different categories, but like.
And Millie, I did that when nobody knew who I was.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Is I was like,
it's why I jumped in, because I could see where you were about to take it.
For sure, yeah.
People are like, yeah, but you're Gary Vee. I'm like, no, that's what made me Gary Vee. The problem is that people underestimate how long it takes. Like, you have to understand, the people that completely break out fast are almost always incredibly talented at their craft, like 1% funny, or wildly attractive, right? Like a lot of people like, oh, but they amassed 1 million followers. I'm like, that dude's showing his abs all the time. And like there's a level of that. Like if you're in the business of not, and by the way, I think being attractive is an escapism. Like modeling is a profession. People like, I don't begrudge that. I just tell people that aren't a model to understand that there's a different reason why they were able to get up to 700,000 fast. There's a visual value play there that's different than what I'm doing. That's why it took me 15 years to grow this level. Right. And I think people have to realize like there's different things. Like it's also humor. Humor is another one. It's not just being gifted with the privilege of attractiveness. It's also the privilege of humor. If you're incredibly funny, you have a very big advantage of fast growth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like educating, you're going to be slower.
I need to
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also goes to why I hate that people care about numbers.
You're always constantly talking about, community. It's not about the numbers, and you are a living example of, you can succeed following all of your passions. So gives me hope.
I also think for a lot of people, it is the thing that will break them out. Their love affair of root beer or Golden Girls sitcoms or their knowledge of sneakers, even though they're talking about psychology, is a nuance that usually really matters.
And you often talk about Vayner Media being like a community management company. And I was like, what exactly was the scope of that? And like, how do you think that benefited your strategy with Vayner Media in the long term?
It made us extremely consumer centric. Whoever's closest to the customer wins.
What were you telling them? This is my thing.
You need to reply to people that mention you on social media. It's good for your business. Now that's evolved to you need to post content too.
Right.
But at the time, what it did was it made our seed about listening. Even today, we have a role called PCS, Post Creative Strategist. These are people who listen after we post. Like they read every comment. It's what I do. I read my comments.
Obviously, because we're here.
Right. I apologize. I have to run to another thing, but like people need to listen to how this interview happened.
Oh, for sure it does. And it shows the power of social media. And I appreciate you coming for this time. I have to ask you though, before you go, because, I'd hate myself if I didn't ask. And I know this might be a long shot, but I was just wondering if there'd be any way for you to set up some sort of job shadow for me at Vayner Media.
I'm super open to it. Literally send me an email right now to Gary at Vayner Media. Let me get it in motion. I'm running late, but let's do it.